السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد، إن شاء الله the first part of our three-part session is the book الداء والدواء, the disease and the cure by Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. And the last two pieces that we dealt with last time from the punishments or the evil consequences of sins and disobediences, one of them was for one's status and position to be lowered and to be dropped. And the second is that the sins and disobediences, they strip the person out of the praiseworthy names and titles, and they will clothe him. Committing sins will clothe him, will earn him titles and names of dispraise and disparagement. Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, he goes on to say, وَمِنْ عُقُوبَاتِهَا, from the punishments, from the evil consequences of the sins, أَنَّهَا تُؤَثِّرُ بِالْخَاصِّيَّةِ فِي نُقْصَانِ الْعَقْلِ, that committing sins will bring an effect, especially in terms of bringing down the aql, the intelligence, the mind, the understanding of the person, the comprehension will be brought down due to committing sins and disobediences. He says, فَلَا تَجِدُ عَاقِلَيْنِ أَحَدُهُمَا مُطِيعٌ لِلَّهِ وَالْآخَرُ عَاصٍ إِلَّا وَعَقْلُ الْمُطِيعِ مِنْهُمَا أَوْفَرُ وَأَكْمَلُ وَفِكْرُهُ أَصَحُّ وَرَأْيُهُ أَسَدُّ وَالصَّوَابُ قَرِينُهُ. He said, you don't find two sane people. One of them is obedient to Allah, the other one is disobedient, except that you find the intellect, the intelligence, the mind of the obedient one of the two. You will find his intelligence, his wisdom is far abundant, awfar. It's far more complete and perfect, akmal. And his thinking is more sound, asah. His opinion is more correct, asad. And as-sawabu qarino, being correct or correctness is his companion. Correctness, being correct, is his companion. It accompanies him wherever he is because of his obedience. وَلِهَذَا, he says, this is why نجد خطاب القرآن, we find that the Qur'an is directing the speech to إنما هو مع أولي العقول والألباب. It's only actually directed to the people of understanding and intellect. كقوله واتقوني يا أولي الألباب, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 197. Fear me, be mindful, be God conscious of me, O people of understanding. Lub in the Arabic means the core, and here it means, the understanding, the intellect, the intelligence. A man of understanding, a man of wisdom. وقوله, also the statement of Allah Ta'ala, كقوله فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب لعلكم تفلحون. Again, fear Allah, O people of albab, people who possess understanding, intellect, intelligence, so that you may be successful. Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 100. Also, وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, Surah Al-Baqarah 269. Nobody remembers except people of albab, understanding, people of intellects. ونظائر ذلك كثيرة. يعني very much similar to this in the Qur'an, throughout the Qur'an, that the words of Allah in the Qur'an, they are actually directed to people who understand, people who reflect, people who are having intellect, intellectuals, think and reflect, people of reflection. He said, وكيف يكون عاقلا وافر العقل من يعصي من هو في قبضته. How is it that a person will be wise or sane and his wisdom is abundant? How could he be someone, how can he be described as being wise or abundantly wise while he is one who disobeys the one whom he is in his grip? He is disobeying someone while he is in full control of him. How can he be wise? وفي داره, he is in his control and he is in his house. وهو يعلم أنه يراه ويشاهده, and he knows that he sees him and he witnesses him. فيعصيه وهو بعينه غير متوار عنه. He disobeys him while he is in front of him. He is in front of him, not hiding from him. ويستعين بنعمه على مساخطه. He is utilizing his favors in matters that bring his wrath, his anger. ويستدعي كل وقت غضبه عليه. Every time he is calling for his anger for him and his curse والعياذ بالله for him, لعنه له, وإبعاده من قربه, and kicking him out, away, far away from being close to him. وطرده عن بابه, he is calling him to kick him out of his door. وإعراضه عنه, he is calling him to turn away and neglect him. وخذلانه له, he is calling him also to let him down. والتخلية بينه وبين نفسه وعدوه, and to leave him alone, just between him and himself and his enemy, between him and the shaitan, that is. وسقوطه من عينه, he is calling him to drop him off of his eyes, meaning to, despise him. وحرمانه روح رضاه وحبه, أو روح رضاه وحبه, أو حبه. He is calling him to deprive, but by committing disobedience, he is calling him to deprive him, to take away from him the relief, the goodness of his pleasure, and to deprive him of his love, or to deprive him of the relief of Allah loving him, right? وَقُرَّةَ الْعَيْنِ بِقُرْبِهِ, he is calling him to take away from him also, to deprive him of the satisfaction by being close to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْفَوْزَ بِجِوَارِهِ, winning, being a neighbor for him. And he is depriving himself by committing sins. He is calling Allah to deprive him of winning the closeness, being a close neighbor to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالنَّظَرَ إِلَى وَجْهِهِ فِي زُمْرَةِ أَوْلِيَائِهِ, also to deprive him from looking at his face within the allies, the group of the allies of Allah. إِلَى أَضْعَافِ ذَلِكَ, up to multiples and multiples of this, مِنْ كَرَامَةِ أَهْلِ الطَّاعَةِ, of the honor that the people of obedience will receive. وَأَضْعَافِ ذلك من عقوبة أهل المعصية, and multiples and multitudes of punishment for the people of disobedience. He says, فأي عقل لمن آثر لذة ساعة أو يوم أو دهر. What kind of intelligence does one have? The one who prefers the joy of 1 hour or 1 day or a lifetime. ثم تنقضي كأنها حلم. Then all of this finishes and goes away as if it was a dream. حلم لم يكن, as if it was a dream that did not happen in reality. على هذا النعيم المقيم والفوز العظيم. Who will prefer this joy for a short while over the continuous, endless bliss and enjoyment and supreme triumph. بل هو سعادة الدنيا والآخرة. Rather, it is not just this, he's preferring it over the happiness of this life and the next life. He says, ولولا العقل الذي تقوم به عليه الحجة لكان بمنزلة المجانين. Were it not for this intellect that he has, this sanity that he has, which the proof is established against him because of this mind that he has, otherwise he will have the position and the status of the insane, the crazy people, because he's preferring this over that, right? So he says, were it not for the fact that he really has intellect, he understands, he has a mind, then he would be someone who is truly insane. He said, بل قد تكون المجانين أحسن حالا منه. Rather, the insane people, they may be having a better condition than his. وأسلم عاقبة, even safer in their end, the insane people. فهذا من هذا الوجه. This, you look at this from this aspect, right? يعني someone knows what he's doing and he's doing it, disobeying Allah in front of him, in his house. This worldly life, it's Allah's own, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doing it while he's witnessing this, seeing this, right? Not, you're not hiding in any way, right? So he says here that then this person who does this, he's not really sane. He's not really wise, right? Otherwise, if he is, then this wisdom this understanding will stop him from what he is doing. Remember that committing sins, this is the point he is trying to establish, committing sins diminishes your comprehension, diminishes your intellect, brings down your mind and wisdom. He says, وَأَمَّا تَأْثِيرُهَا فِي نُقْصَانِ الْعَقْلِ الْمَعِيشِ. As for it, يعني committing sins, as for it bringing down or diminishing, having a negative effect on the al-aql al-ma'ishi, the mind by which you live with, the thinking and the intellect you use to run your life, right? He says, as for it diminishing that, فلولا الاشتراك في هذا النقصان لظهر لمطيعنا نقصان عقل عاصينا. He said, were it not for the fact that all people are sharing this deficiency, right? All of us are deficient, the humans are deficient in terms of, running and thinking about their livelihood. Were it not for the fact that everybody has some sort of a deficiency in that regard, then the obedient from us will see clearly the deficiency of the mind and the intellect of the disobedient. And it will become crystal clear. You can see it. Here's, deficient. But because all of us share this, some sort of deficiency in that, then we cannot see that. Otherwise, it will be crystal clear. To a point that he says, وَلَكِنَّ الْجَائِحَةَ عَامَّةً. But he says, al-ja'iha here, you know how you have a catastrophe, an epidemic or some problem that happens to for instance, the crops. All of it is gone because there is some sort of a disease. This is called a ja'iha. So this catastrophe of having deficiency in the intellect, yani the humans, they are deficient, right? Because of this deficiency and that it is widespread, right? We don't see what is happening. But he says, he goes on to say, وَالْجُنُونَ فُنُونَ. He says that insanity is of different types, different kinds. You know, someone is more insane than the other one is more insane, less insane, like that. But all of it, they are sharing the fact that it's insanity, craziness, right? He says, وَيَا عَجَبًا. He says, I wonder. لو صحت العقول, if the intellects are sound and straight, لعلمت, then they should know أن طريق تحصيل اللذة والفرحة والسرور وطيب العيش إنما هو في رضاء من النعيم كله في رضاه. If you want to correct that, if you have the copy, Ramda, it says it's rida. It says here, if that the intellects are straight and sound, if the intellects are straight and sound, then they would know that achieving joy and happiness, delight and goodness of life or living, it will only be achieved through the pleasure of the one whom all all the blessings, all the bliss, all the enjoyment will be in pleasing him, right? So if the minds are sound, they would know that you want joy and happiness, then you have to please the one whom all the pleasure you will achieve it, right, by pleasing him, and you will have joy because of that. وَالْأَلَمُ وَالْعَذَابُ كُلُّ فِي سَخَطِهِ وَغَضَبِهِ. The opposite to joy is pain, anger and wrath, and punishment. All of it lies in him being angry with you. فَفِي رِضَاهُ قُرَّةُ الْعُيُونِ. He says, by pleasing Allah, then you will achieve satisfaction. وَسُرُورُ النُّفُوسِ. Happiness of the souls. حَيَاةُ الْقُلُوبِ. The hearts being alive. Right? لَذَّةُ الْأَرْوَاحِ. Souls are enjoying. طِيبُ الْحَيَاةِ. Life is good. لَذَّةُ الْعَيْشِ. You're living and tastefully, enjoying your life. أطيب النعيم. Also the best of bliss, best of enjoyment lies in pleasing him subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, مما لو وزن منه مثقال ذرة بنعيم الدنيا لم يف به. That if you weigh an atom's weight of this goodness there with the enjoyment of the worldly life, then it will not, an atom's weight of that bliss and enjoyment with the most enjoying thing in the worldly pleasures, then all of them together, they can't be equal to one atom of the joy of Allah being pleased with you, or the result of Allah being pleased with you. He says, بل إذا حصل للقلب من ذلك أيسر نصيب لم يرضى بالدنيا وما فيها عوضا منه. He says, if the heart of the person achieves of this the smallest share, he achieves of the enjoyment based on Allah being pleased with you. If the heart achieves of that the smallest share, he would not accept the worldly life, dunya, and what is in it as a replacement for that share that he tasted, that the heart tasted. ومع هذا, he said, yet فهو يتنعم بنصيبه من الدنيا أعظم من تنعم المترفين فيها. Yet this person whom Allah is pleased with he is enjoying his share of the worldly life greater than the enjoyment of those who are lavish, right? Mutrafin, lavish, living a lavish lifestyle. This person, he is enjoying his share of the worldly life more than those who are lavishly enjoying their life. ولا يشوب تنعمه بذلك الحظ اليسير ما يشوب تنعم المترفين من الهموم والغموم والأحزان والمعارضات. He said that his enjoyment with that small share, it will not be marred, it will not be mixed with the impurities, right, that will happen to the enjoyment of the lavish ones. What is it that's happening to them? They have this, but they are annoyed. They are living lavishly, yes, but they are annoyed by humum, worries, غموم, griefs, ahzan, sadness, mu'aradat, oppositions, right? Oppositions. Someone gets out to his, mashallah, car that's, and then it doesn't start. How does he feel, And so on and so forth, like that. Something very small it could be, but then it brings them out of control. He says, بَلْ قَدْ حَصَلَ عَلَى النَّعِمَيْنِ. Rather, he achieved both enjoyments, both types of bliss. He is living his life and enjoying it, and at the same time, he has the enjoyment of the pleasure of Allah. Allah being pleased with him, and therefore he is enjoying this satisfaction. Right? He says, so he has two types of enjoyment that he is enjoying in this worldly life. وَهُوَ يَنْتَظِرُ نَعِيمَيْنِ آخَرَيْنِ أَعْظَمَ مِنْهُمَا. And he is awaiting two types of enjoyments, two types of bliss that are even far greater than this. The enjoyment in paradise, the enjoyment of seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, وَهُوَ يَنْتَظِرُ نَعِيمَيْنِ آخَرَيْنِ أَعْظَمَ مِنْهُمَا. As for and this is dropped from this copy, it should be there, أَمَّا. He says, as for what happens to him within this or through this of the pains, and everyone goes through pain in this worldly life. So he says, as for whatever pain and suffering that he goes through, then فَالْأَمْرُ كَمَا قَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى. Then the affair is like what Allah said, إِن تَكُونُوا تَأْلَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ يَأْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَأْلَمُونَ وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَرْجُونَ. Surah An-Nisa, ayah 104, it talks about the believers and the disbelievers. It is consoling the believers, saying, if you are going through pain and suffering, if you are in pain, then surely they are in pain too. Right? It's not like the believers are going through some hardship and the disbelievers are, mashallah, free, hassle-free, problem-free. It is not like that. You are in pain, they are in pain too. But the ayah says, but you hope, you wish from Allah that which they do not wish for. Right? You hope from Allah that which they cannot hope for. They won't hope for. Right? So this is the case. So he's saying the believer who obeys Allah, he is enjoying his worldly life and enjoying the fact that Allah is pleased with him. And this fact that Allah is pleased with him, is satisfied with him, this in itself, the enjoyment of it cannot be compared to the enjoyment of the worldly life, all of it. Right? He goes on to say, فَلَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. So then there is no true God except Allah. ما أنقص عقل من باع الدر بالبعر. How deficient is the intellect of the one who sold pearls for dung, right? والمسك بالرجيع, he sold musk with or for, يعني he exchanged it for feces, right? ومرافقة الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين, and the company of the ones whom Allah favored, of the prophets, the most truthful believers and martyrs and righteous. He exchanged the company of those with بمرافقة, by accompanying the ones whom Allah is angry with. Allah الذين غضب الله عليهم ولعنهم, and cursed. وأعد لهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا, and he prepared for them Jahannam, and what an evil end that is, right? So back again to the point that sins and disobediences, they make the mind, they make the intellect, the comprehension of the person go down and diminish, become deficient, right? And he says that if you look at two people, both of them are same, one of them is obedient, the other disobedient, then you will find that the obedient one is more, correct, right? His wisdom and intellect is far greater than the disobedient. He is more correct, he is more right. The correctness accompanies him. He says this is why the Qur'an, many places in the Qur'an, the speech is with those who understand, those who have intellect, those who have minds, those who reflect, right? It's not for everyone, right? It's directed to those, because they are the ones who benefit, not the others, right? And then he goes on comparing how can a person be wise or intellectual if he is disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while he is under his complete control. Then he prefers the joy of a short period of time, right? A short period of time that resembles a dream, right? That will just finish right away. He prefers that over continuous, endless enjoyment. Then he compares how it brings down even your intellect that you use for your daily living, right? Your daily living. He said, were it not for the fact that all of us are deficient as humans, then you would notice this quite apparent on the people, right? The disobedient one, this deficiency will show up and will emerge, will be apparent in a way that the obedient people will see that. And he's saying the fact is that this deficiency is a catastrophe that has befallen everybody. That's why you don't see it, right? طيب. Next point he explains, he says that from the punishments of the sins and disobediences من أعظم, from the worst of punishments is أنها توجب القطيعة بين العبد وبين ربه تبارك وتعالى. Sins and disobediences, they necessitate the relationship between him and his Lord تبارك وتعالى. The relationship, it will become cut off and be severed. وإذا وقعت القطيعة انقطعت عنه أسباب الخير. If this relationship breaks up with his Lord, then the causes of goodness are also stopped. They are severed from him. واتصلت به أسباب الشر. Now causes of evil now, they are connected to him. فأي فلاح وأي رخاء وأي عيش لمن انقطعت عنه أسباب الخير. So what kind of success, what kind of good life will be for the one whom causes of goodness are completely severed from him. وقطع ما بينه وبين وليه ومولاه الذي لا غنى له عنه طرفة عين. The whatever is between him and his ally and his master got severed, got cut off, right? His master whom he cannot be away from him, he cannot be unneedy to him, not even the time it takes to close the eye and open it, even a blinking of an eye. ولا بد له منه. He is completely in need of his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. ولا عوض له عنه. There is no replacement for him from his Lord. He says, then now the causes of evil, they got connected with him now, and whatever is between him and the most the worst of his enemies, relationship got attached now, got connected with the worst enemy for him. So his enemy now, he took him as an ally, and his ally, he left him alone, he abandoned him. تخلى عنه وليه فلا تعلم نفس ما في هذا الانقطاع والاتصال من أنواع الآلام وأنواع العذاب. He said no soul can tell what is involved in this cutting off and this connection, being cut off from Allah and being connected to the shaitan. Nobody knows what is involved of the types of pains and the types of torment that is involved in this. قال بعض السلف, some of the pious predecessors, they said, رأيت العبد ملقا بين الله سبحانه وبين الشيطان. I have seen the servant being thrown between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the shaitan. فإن أعرض الله عنه تولاه الشيطان. If Allah turns away from him, neglects him, then the shaitan takes him as an ally. وإن تولاه الله لم يقدر عليه الشيطان. And if Allah takes him as an ally, then the shaitan has no ability over him. وقد قال تعالى, Allah Ta'ala said, وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم. And when we told the angels, prostrate to Adam, فسجدوا, so they prostrated, إلا إبليس, except for Iblis, the shaitan. كان من الجن, he was of the jinn, ففسق عن أمر ربه, so he disobeyed the command of his Lord. أفتتخذونه وذريته أولياء من دوني. Do you take him and his descendants as allies besides me? Right? وهم لكم عدو, while they are an enemy to you. بئس للظالمين بدلا. What an evil replacement for the ظالمين, the polytheists, for the wrongdoers. Right? Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 50. Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 50. يقول سبحانه لعباده. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to his servants, he's explaining to us this ayah now. أنا كرمت أباكم ورفعت قدره. I honored your father and I raised his status. وفضلته على غيره. I made him excel over others. فأمرت ملائكتي كلهم أن يسجدوا له. I commanded all of my angels to prostrate to him, تكريما له وتشريفا, as a means of honoring him and giving him status and nobility. فأطاعوني, so they obeyed me, that is the angels. وأبى عدوي وعدوه. As for my enemy and his enemy, the enemy of Adam alayhi salam, he refused to prostrate. فعصى أمري وخرج عن طاعتي. He disobeyed my command and he left my obedience. فكيف يحسن بكم بعدها أن تتخذوه وذريته أولياء من دوني. So how is it going to be good for you, a good act on your part, that you take him and his descendants, his progeny, as allies besides me? You take him and his children, his progeny, as allies and not me, and you leave me. فَتُطِيعُونَهُ فِي مَعْصِيَتِي. So you obey him in my disobedience. وَتُوَالُونَهُ فِي خِلَافِ مَرْضَاتِي. You befriend him and take him as an ally, going against what pleases me. وَهُوَ أَعْدَى عَدُوٍ لَكُمْ. While he is the most in terms of enmity towards you. فَوَالَيْتُمْ عَدُوِّي وَقَدْ أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِمُعَادَاتِهِ. You took my enemy as an ally when I have commanded you to take him as an enemy. وَمَنْ وَالَى أَعْدَاءَ الْمَلِكِ كَانَ هُوَ وَأَعْدَاؤُهُ عِنْدَهُ سَوَاء. He said the one who befriends, takes as allies the enemies of the king, then he and his enemies, they will be equal in his eye. They will be equal to him. فإن المحبة والطاعة لا تتم إلا بمعاداة أعداء المطاع وموالاة أوليائه. He says, for surely love and obedience cannot be complete except by taking as enemies, taking as enemies the enemies of the one you are obeying, and taking as allies the allies of the one you are obeying. Right? وَأَمَّا أَن تُوَالِيَ أَعْدَاءَ الْمَلِكِ. As for you befriending and taking allies the enemies of the king, ثُمَّ تَدَّعِي أَنَّكَ مُوَالٍ لَهُ. Then you claim that you are an ally for him or allied with him. فَهَذَا مُحَالٍ. He says this is impossible. هَذَا لَوْ لَمْ يَكُنْ عَدُوُّ الْمَلِكِ عَدُوًا لَكُمْ. This is now if the enemy to that king was not an enemy to you. فَكَيْفَ إِذَا كَانَ عَدُوَّكُمْ عَلَى الْحَقِيقَةِ. Then how is it then if he was your enemy in reality? وَالْعَدَاوَةُ الَّتِي بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُ أَعْظَمُ مِنَ الْعَدَاوَةِ الَّتِي بَيْنَ الشَّاةِ وَالذِّئْبِ. He says the enmity that is between you and him is far greater than the enmity that is between the sheep and the wolf. فكيف يليق بالعاقل أن يوالي عدوه وعدو وليه. How is it suitable for a wise person, for a sane person, to befriend and take ally his enemy and the enemy of his friend, the enemy of his ally? Yani you befriend your enemy and you befriend the enemy of your allies. وَمَوْلَاهُ الَّذِي لَا مَوْلَى لَهُ سِوَاهُ. And you are befriending the enemy of your ally and your master whom you have no master other than him. He says, وَنَبَّهَ سُبْحَانَهُ عَلَى قُبْحِ هَذِهِ الْمُوَالَةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlighted how horrible this alliance is by him saying, وَهُمْ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ أَفَتَتَّخِذُونَهُ وَذُرِّيَّتَهُ أَوْلِيَاءَ مِن دُونِي. Do you take him and his children, his progeny, as allies besides me, while they are your enemies? وَهُمْ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ. He says, Allah highlights how horrible this alliance is by this, saying, while they are enemies to you. Surah Al-Kahf, ayah 50 once again. كَمَا نَبَّهَ عَلَى قُبْحِهِمَا بِقَوْلِهِ فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ. And the same ayah, Surah Al-Kahf, he says that he highlighted also how horrible both are by saying he disobeyed the command of his Lord, يعني the shaitan. فَتَبَيَّنَ أَنَّ عَدَاوَتَهُ لِرَبِّهِ وَعَدَاوَتَهُ لَنَا. This makes it clear then that his enmity to his Lord and his enmity to us, the humans, كُلٌّ مِّنْهُمَا سَبَبٌ يَدْعُ إِلَى مُعَادَاتِهِ. Each one of them is a cause calling us to take him as an enemy. So he says, yani he's the enemy of your Lord, he is the enemy to you. Both should lead you to take him as an enemy. He goes on to say, فَمَا هَذِهِ الْمُوَالَةِ. So what kind of alliance is this? Yani that you have with him. وَمَا هَذَا الْإِسْتِبْدَالِ. What kind of exchange, what kind of replacement is this? Then he says, explaining what the ayah says at the end. بِئْسَ لِلظَّالِمِينَ بَدَلًا. How an evil replacement that is for the wrongdoers. Yani they are replacing their master and ally, they are replacing him with their enemy and the enemy to their master. Right? بئس للظالمين بدلا. He says ويشبه أن يكون تحت هذا الخطاب نوع من العتاب لطيف عجيب. He says it's like under this speech in this ayah, inshallah I will read it again at the end. Under this speech that is within this ayah, there seems like to be some sort of a kind, subtle, wonderful blame, عتاب, right? وهو, and that is أني عاديت إبليس, I took Iblis as an enemy إذا لم يسجد لأبيكم آدم مع ملائكتي, when he did not, since he did not prostrate to your father Adam along with my angels. فكانت معاداته لأجلكم. So then having him as an enemy was for your sake. Allah took him as an enemy for the sake of the humans. ثم كان عاقبة هذه المعاداة أن عقدتم بينه وبينكم عقد المصالحة. Then the end of this enmity that Allah had with the shaitan, the end of this is that you strike an agreement, you have an agreement with him, عقدتم, between you and him, an agreement of right, مصالحة, that you reform, you bring some sort of reconciliation between the two of you, right? So once again this ayah from Surah Al-Kahf, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ, and when we told the angels prostrate to Adam, so they prostrated, فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيس, except for Iblis, كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ, he was of the jinn, so فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ, he left, he exited, right? He went out, and he left the command of his Lord, right? فَسَقَ, when something comes out of something else, right? You see, if you have a date in your hand and you push it and then the pit comes out, right? فَسَقَتْ النَّوَاةُ عن التمرة, the pit فَسَقَتْ, came out of the, because you pushed it, you squeezed it, it came out. This is the original meaning of فَسَقَ. So you go out, right? So this is what Iblis did. He went out from the command, he did not accept it, right? So it says he فَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِهِ, he disobeyed the command of his Lord. أَفَتَتَّخِذُونَهُ وَذُرِّيَّتَهُ أَوْلِيَاءَ مِنْ دُونِي, do you take him as ally? Do you take him and his progeny, his descendants, as allies besides me? Right? While they are وَهُمْ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ, when they are enemies to you. بِئْسَ لِلظَّالِمِينَ بَدَلًا, what an evil exchange, what an evil replacement of the wrongdoers, right? So he says that once again, from the worst punishments of sins and disobediences is that they will bring and they will necessitate severing the relationship, breaking up the relationship between the person and Allah, his ally and master, and it will join, it will connect between him and his worst enemy, the shaitan. If that happens, all causes of goodness are taken away, all causes of evil and destruction are going to be now available and made easy, to this person. And there isn't a way where you will have, if you suppose the king has enemies, you cannot claim that you are allies and friends with the king when you are befriending and being in alliance with his enemies. That cannot happen, right? It does not happen, right? And then he goes on and he explained the ayah. So we will stop here, inshallah, this time. And inshallah, next time we will continue, inshallah.